I'm Lee and this is my podcast about my handmade life. I'm on Instagram as Louleigh_ and on Ravelry as Louleigh. I have an Etsy shop where I sell knitting needle cases and notions cases, and that's Shop Louleigh on Etsy, and you can find links to all of my online places at louleigh.com. Welcome! It's really nice to be sitting and having a chat with you this week. Happy New Year! It's so nice to have shared 2018 with you guys. I was reflecting on last year, yesterday, and there were just so many fun things that happened. So welcome back for 2019. It's awesome to have you here. I'm going to put my little hairy chum down. Those of you who are regular viewers will know that he is a regular co-host here. But the window is right here, as you can probably tell, and he finds it a really ideal situation to look for cats and keep his security checks on the garden up. It's not that he likes me or wants to say hi to you guys, he's just all about the cats. Today I'm wearing Carbeth. This was a jersey that I knitted last year in a really short space of time out of, I think it's Louleigh, an Icelandic yarn, and I wear it a lot more than I had anticipated. It's a little bit frosty here, and so it's just really easy to pop it on and be nice and cozy and warm. So yeah, I'll put a link. You can find project page details in the show notes. In community news, we have had the advent calendar cal running along, and I have of course finished my advent socks. I wore them on Christmas Day and they have been washed and they're ready for wearing again. And it was super fun. It was really interesting to see the projects as they were finished in the Advent Calendar Cal thread. I'm going to leave that thread open because I know that some of you are still working on your Advent projects, or you wanted to collect all the mini skeins together to see how they look together before you decided what to make. So I'm leaving that thread open, and I hope that as you progress with your projects and as you finish them, you'll share those in the chatter thread for that cal, because I think it's so fun to see the alternative things that people are doing with their advent calendar minis. I love my advent socks, I love this tradition, but I know that a lot of you do different things, and so it'd be really intriguing to see what those are. Last time I spoke to you, I had said that I wasn't going to talk about the advent mini skein swap until February, but I am so excited about next year's advent calendar that I've kind of started already. The thread is open to sign up for Q1 in the Louleigh Ravelry group. I forget what the date, I think it's about the 11th that will close, the 11th of February, so you have plenty of time to sign up for that if you want to take part in the Advent mini skein swap this year. I've started winding my minis already, and let me just grab this. This may tinkle a little, you'll see why in a second. Here we go. I was given a musical biscuit tin for Christmas. Of course I've consumed all of the biscuits, but I thought it would be a great receptacle for an advent calendar to gift to someone next year. And I have been going through my stash and winding up some of my leftovers into mini skeins, all ready to go. Yeah, and I've been just labelling them with scraps of fabric, so I just write the dyer on there. I haven't written bases or anything like that because I'm not sure what they all are. I might have lost some labels. But I've definitely written the dyer on, and then I just tie that on there with a bit of scrap fabric, partly because I have a lot of fabric scraps, and I find that these labels stay on really well. They don't get scrunched, they don't come unstuck or anything like that. So maybe not the prettiest form of labelling, but very practical. So those are all ready to go, and the thread is open if you want to come and sign up. Of course, Knit 1000 Grams is still running over in the Ravelry group as well, and I would be really interested to hear what your goals are for this year. If you have any specific knitting goals to do with skills you want to learn or things that you want to make. I know a lot of people do a make 9. I can't commit to 9 projects I'd want to make in a year. I would just change my mind as I went along. I don't usually commit to making something until I've actually cast it on, and even then there's the option that I might rip it out and do something else. I think this year though I've been thinking about a make 1. I have been amassing in my new gigantic Bertie and Poppet bag a collection of yarn that is all sort of ecru and light beige fawny type colours from lots of different yarn companies. Oh, this one smells of lanolin. It's North Ronaldsy. Oh, reminds me of the shearing shed at home. Right. So I've been collecting all of those together, and I am just thinking about making a penguino out of all undyed, I'd like to say British yarn, but I'm not going to restrict it. If I find odds and ends from further afield, then I'll use those. But out of undyed ecru and light fawn type yarns, I think that that would make a garment that I would probably find quite useful in my wardrobe, and the penguino just looks so fun to knit. I'm not going to commit to doing that until after the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, or doing that in, well, yeah, I think this is my make 1 for 2019. I'm not sure how much yarn I already have in here. There's a few balls that are DK weight, there's some 4-ply. I think I have some leftovers here from Sizzle Pop. So I've just been collecting all sorts of things together there, and we'll see how big that collection gets, and thinking about starting that, yeah, late March or April time. So I would love to hear about your goals for this year, if you have any. I know some people just like to go through the year and do what takes their fancy, which is good fun too. So if you pop over to the Knit 1000 Grams chatter thread, it would be really interesting to know what you're up to. This is the resolutions segment. I think for 2018 I noticed that I had become much more thoughtful about the things that I've been making to put into my own wardrobe, and how they actually fit in with the colours that I want to wear and go together with the other things that I own. And I wanted to extend that to everything that I make, really. I want my makes this year to really enhance our life and our home, and in an aesthetic and an environmental and a practical sort of a way, to really enhance the way that we live. Yeah, I think that sums it up. So I am starting the year by making something that we are needful of. I have plenty of socks, but the Hairy Man mostly has commercial multi-pack purchased socks. So I have decided that this year I am directing my sock knitting efforts towards his feet. Actually, I've forgotten something I was going to talk about it, so I'm just going to run off and get it. So this is the thing that I wanted to show you. This is Custom Socks Knit to Fit Your Feet, and it's by Kate Atherley. And I have had this on my bookshelf for a little while, and I decided to use my Hairy Man sock knitting adventure as a way of testing out the theory around well-fitting socks that is set out in this book. So I have measured the Hairy Man's feet and done some sums and worked out what I need to do, and have embarked on a pair of socks for him. So what's interesting is that I measured the Hairy Man's feet and I measured my feet, and then I compared my foot measurements with the real measurements of the socks that I already have. And the standard approach to sock fit is that they should be 10% smaller than your foot, 10% negative ease. But what I found was that most of my socks, which I really like, have more like 15% at least. Some of them were kind of tending towards 20% negative ease. So I was really intrigued to use the 10% negative ease theory. Hi, he's back. And test it out on the Hairy Man. Partly because I'm in close proximity to his feet and can actually see how they look on and inquire about fit on a regular basis and that sort of thing. So I can follow up as he wears his socks. Anyway, I've done the sums and worked out what I need to do, and followed the formula that's in the Custom Socks book. And so I started these socks for the Hairy Man, and I'm sort of throwing everything at them. The Hairy Man is colourblind, and any inquiries I make about colour or tone he takes as an affront to his disability. So I'm throwing everything at these socks. I've used a bold, sparkly opal yarn, and I decided to throw in some nice bright yellow wool-mise stripes. Partly because I don't have a full ball of this yarn and he has big size 11 feet. So I'm going to do the toes using the yellow as well. Yeah, so they will be bold and exciting. I'm not going to knit all of his socks in these wild sort of colours in case he doesn't wear them. I do have some more subdued yarns in my stash, but I wanted to start out with something fun. I've decided to make the whole cuff ribbed because that gives it good structure for staying up. Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to see how these fit and compare with the other socks that I knit him not last year but the year before. So yeah, that's going to be a really fun experiment, and we shall see how we get on with that. His socks need to be knitted in a yarn that can not only be put through a washing machine but also an industrial dryer, because when he's offshore working he doesn't have much say over how his clothes are laundered, so they need to be really easy care yarns. The last project that I have going is a new one, and it was something that I was given for Christmas. I actually asked for this after I finished the snowman kit that I was sent by Mary and the Mutts, Mary of Mary's Makery. I really enjoyed that and wanted to try a little more embroidery. I'm not completely new to embroidery. I think I've said before I've got my brownie badge, but I've also done a couple of courses down at the Lincolnshire Heritage Centre. I've forgotten the name of the teacher. I think it was Sarah Humphrey. She has a YouTube channel and she does really good courses down there, and I've been with the Sister Outlaw a couple of times. And so picked up some good techniques, hopefully some good habits, and really enjoyed those, but never really done anything about it afterwards. Sometimes I just like to do a course just to explore a new skill without any commitment about having to take it up as a hobby. However, I decided that I wanted to give this embroidery malarkey a bit more of my time, really, and so I asked for the drop cloth sampler for Christmas. I was given the kit, so it came with a hoop and threads, the printed cloth and needles, so it came with everything I needed to get going. I am actually using the hoop that came in Mary's kit though, because she's bound the inside hoop so that holds taut a lot better. Let me just focus it over here so you can see. Yeah, so that holds the fabric in place a lot better. So I'm using that hoop. The drop cloth sampler is by Rebecca Ringquist, and I believe that the parents outlaws got this from Beyond Measure. And it's just really fun. It's a little doodle, and it has next to it just the types of stitches you should use in each spot, and then it has some other doodles around the edge that you can just fill in however you feel like it, really. So this has just been like a little colouring in project, and I've been trying out the different stitches. The kit doesn't come with any instructions. You can join up for a creative bug course, but I haven't. As I've come to the different stitches, I've just actually watched YouTube videos on how to do them. A lot of them I'm familiar with already, but there are a few that I've had to look up. And it took me a while to realise that I didn't have to be perfect about this. The idea was not to do the best job, it was to have a go. So I have resisted the urge to pull things out and redo it, and just gone forth boldly, really. I found French knots a bit of a challenge, and so I'm actually putting off bullion knots until I've done a few more French knots. As I said though, the kit came with its own threads, but I decided, just in the interest of keeping it a bit coordinated, I decided to pick out my own selection of colours. So these are the ones that I started with. Hold on, they're on the floor. No, where's it gone? These are the colours that I started with, and the other thing that I have been learning is a little bit about how the thread actually shows up on the fabric. So for example, with this really pretty sort of salmon pink colour, I realised that when I have it as a single thread, you can't really see it that well. But when I have it over here in bulk, it looks really pretty. So with some of those softer colours, you just need to have a bigger area covered with that particular thread. And with that in mind, I decided to supplement my colour scheme with some darker shades in the same colour. Yeah, with these ones. I also just decided to play around with mixing strands from different colours. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it here. Just here I mixed the greys together to kind of get a gradient effect. And I'm just colouring in the hoop around the edge of the drop cloth. So I'm having lots of fun with this, and I'm learning a lot. One of the things that I did find was that it was a little bit tricky to manipulate some of the stitches whilst I was holding the hoop. And so I got myself a stand. So it has this foot shape on the bottom, and then I just got one. It has an adjustable height doohickey, so you can adjust the height there of it, and then I just got one with a clamp at the top so I can use it with the hoops that I already have, and I only have little wee ones, so it's not a tremendous amount of weight or anything that I'm putting on there. This was really cheap and cheerful off Amazon, and so some of the parts are plastic, which I wasn't incredibly impressed about. I would have been happy to pay a bit more to have the whole thing made of wood, but I couldn't actually find anything like it where the whole thing was made of wood. So I ordered this one, and I found it really useful. I was talking to the sister-in-law who does quite a bit of needlework, and apparently she has one of these and she doesn't like it because of the way she sits on her sofa. I think this you don't always get the hoop in exactly the right position, but for me it's near enough when I'm sitting on the couch, and it's easy to put this in different positions. So I can put it under the side of my leg, or I can put it between my legs, or I can put it from the other side, so I can move it around. The sticky thing moves at 360 degrees, and then it moves up and down. It moves up and down pretty easily as well. The benefit of this is that you're not using a hand to hold your hoop, so you can manipulate those French knots a lot more easily. And if I'm doing stem stitch where you have to make sure the thread is always out the same side and all that sort of stuff, it just makes it really easy. I find it slightly less hard on my eyes as well, because I notice I'm feeling the stitches rather than looking for them. So, and you can have one hand on top of the work to put the needle through and one hand below to collect it. So for £20, I'm quite pleased that I got this. It's just made the whole process a little bit more enjoyable and a little bit easier. So those are all the projects that I have to talk to you about this week. I've decided that this year, I suppose this is another one of my resolutions. Once a month I want to get out a vintage project and just review it, undo whatever went wrong and the reason, or work out why I put it down, and pull back or correct whatever mistake or error had been made, and just get it to a point where I know where I'm at and I can carry on. And I've decided that my focused vintage project for January will be Beauveton, so you should be seeing a little bit of that this month. I'm not promising to knit on it a lot, but just to get it out and get it into a position where I could just pick it up and carry on. I also have a few things that are almost finished loitering about the house, and so my other focus for this week will be to finish off some of those. So it's been really nice to come and have a chat with you. I hope you'll come and join us over in the Ravelry group, and join in the mini skein swap if you want to, and I hope to see you next time. Cheerio!